for part 2 of a 2-part series that I am teaching on how to create a watercolor sticker. People are obsessed with stickers, so I want to show you how to transform your watercolor paintings into a fun die-cut sticker. So if you need to, go and revisit part 1 of this 2-part series, the live Paint With Me whimsical watercolor florals. We are going to transform those whimsical watercolor florals into a heart-shaped sticker that you can then sell or enjoy for yourself and put onto your water bottles, your laptops. I am so excited for this video and cannot wait to share with you my process and how I create watercolor stickers that I sell both online and at in-person markets. And if you're new here, I am Allie. I am a watercolor artist and I love teaching the art of watercolor and also showing you how to transform your watercolor illustrations into profitable products. So that's what this video is going to be all about today, is sharing with you a little peek behind the scenes of how I digitize my artwork. And I am also coming out with a full comprehensive guide and mini course called Digitizing Watercolor Secrets that is going to share a more in-depth process of mine and my favorite tools, and it's going to break down step by step on how I go through that process. And that course is going to be released this month. So if you're watching this video right now, go ahead and get on the wait list to get reminders and updates on when that course is going to be available. If you're watching this at a future time, the course may already be available. So check down in the description below for a link to more details on how to get started digitizing your watercolor. Alright, so let's go ahead and jump into today's DIY tutorial, and let's head over to my computer where we are now going to scan in the whimsical watercolor floral that we painted in part 1 of this video series. I'll go ahead and include a link to part 1 in case you need to go back and revisit that. So the very first step is to come on over to my computer where I am going to scan in my watercolor florals that I painted. So I do this all through Photoshop. I'll go to File, Import Images from Device. So once I come in to import images, it is going to give me an overview of what is exactly on my scanning bed. So from here, what I'm going to do is make sure that all of my specs are correct, meaning that I want to make sure that I am scanning in full color, and I also want to make sure I have at least a 300 DPI resolution. And then let's see, I'm going to be scanning it into a folder called my scans folder. Let's call this the Sticker Florals. It'll be scanning in as a JPEG, which will work perfect for what I need for this format. I will actually be turning these into PNG files or just working within Photoshop, so no need to get specific here. And then all of this is correct and I am not going to touch it. What I will need to do from here is I will go ahead and select the entire area. I actually have to do 2 scans because my watercolor paper is bigger than my scanning bed. So I'll do my very first scan by selecting the entire area and click Scan. So here I am with my very first scan and looking great. What I like to do is really zoom in to about 100% up here to make sure that everything looks crisp. And I'm not worried about any little flaws. I'm going to fix that in the digitizing process for this sticker, but I am just scrolling around to make sure. I'm not worried about this part being blurry. I'm going to stitch areas together if I need to, but looking great. So I will go ahead and do the same thing for the rest of the paper. I just need to go ahead and move my paper on my scanning bed for the next part of the artwork. So here I am with my 3 different scans that I've just done of my watercolor florals, and everything was looking good, crisp. And what I'll do now is just quick rotate each one of these. So I'll go up to image, rotation, and counterclockwise to get mine looking the right direction. Going to do that for each of these. So from here, I'm going to begin to cut out each of these floral elements and then create a new document where I'm going to design my heart-shaped sticker. So what I will begin to do is scroll in here, just clicking the Command plus, and then hitting the space bar, I'm able to click and drag around my document. So over here in my tools bar, I'm going to click this lasso tool. And I'm just going to do a rough, quick selection around this little flower here. And what I will do then is do a copy. And I'm going to do a new file. This is going to be my working document of creating my sticker design. So in inches, I'm actually going to create this created larger document size than the actual 3x3 inch sticker. So I'm going to make it, let's make it a 7 by 7 inch document. This is handy if I ever wanted to create a larger print from the same design. That way I'm not going to lose resolution if I go to blow this design up in the future. 7 by 7 seems practical enough. I'm going to then do a Command V or paste. And here I am with my very first floral. So then what I'm going to do from here, there's a couple ways that we can digitize these floral pieces of artwork. What I want to show you today is the magic wand over here. So by clicking the watercolor paper, you can see the off-white watercolor paper. I am going to start to click and hold down Shift around this flower. And I can click it multiple times. It'll start to grab all of that watercolor paper element, like so. And this is just one of the ways that I love to digitize artwork. But what I then have is a selection of this grayish looking watercolor paper around my flower. And what I need to do is do a select inverse. So now that is going to select everything that is the flower by doing the inverse. So before I had only selected the watercolor paper, but I really only wanted the flower to be selected. And then over here, making sure that I am selected on my flower, I am going to hit the layer mask tool. And as you saw right there, it hid that watercolor paper edge around here. And you'll see that I have a little bit of a jagged edge, but it did a pretty good job. I see that I had a little bit of a mark on my scanning bed, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that and touch it up right now. So clicking the layer mask over here, I am going to click the brush tool. You could also hit the B on your keyboard, and I am going to, with the black selected, paint on my layer mask tool. This is getting rid of and helping out some of those edges that are a little bit rough. I don't mind a little bit of a rough edge, especially because these flowers are going to be printed so small once they go onto the sticker, but it does help to clean up the edges of your scans. Go ahead and click the clone stamp tool. This is what's going to get rid of those weird flaws. So I went over here and selected now the actual flower on the layer, and I am going to click Option. I'm on a Mac with a keyboard. I'm going to click Option now that I have the clone stamp tool, and that is going to grab part of that area, and I can just click and paint right over the flower to get rid of any flaws that I see. So if I'm getting really nitpicky, I don't like this little dot here, so I will do an Option click and just paint right over it. That is a very important part to the process within Photoshop and cleaning it up. So I could also go through and get rid of any of this watercolor paper that should be a little bit brighter, whiter. That is really up to you in the creative process. I like to come down here and actually change the levels of my florals. So if I click this adjustment layer and click levels, I like to darken it and pull this one down to brighten it. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that for each of our flowers. We are going to again grab the lasso tool and just do a quick selection around each of these elements. And I will go ahead and do that. You do Command C or copy, and then we need to go over into our document and do a Command V to paste it. I always drag that underneath the levels so I can see the color correctly. You can turn off your other flowers because right now what we are doing is we are going to do the same process. I'm just going to turn that levels off so I can see it appropriately. So just doing one click does a nice job of selecting that watercolor paper. Again, you go up to select, inverse the selection, and making sure I'm on the right layer, I'll come down and hit layer mask. So here we have another flower that is now cut out from the background of its watercolor paper. We can go over to the layer mask layer, and with the brush tool on the black color, we can go through and simply paint and clean up some of those edges of our flower. If we don't like how jagged it is, I don't mind it since we are working with a pretty whimsical illustration here, but I'll just go through and clean that up. Now the great thing about the layer mask tool is it doesn't truly erase your file. You can always go back through and bring that area back. So that's why I always recommend using a layer mask. It does not harm your original art file. You will always have a copy, and if you use the erase tool, that is, I think, the biggest mistake that newer artists will make. If you're not familiar with Photoshop, it does completely erase, and you cannot go back to try and resurrect your artwork if you don't like what you did in the future. So just something to note. So sometimes when you do the magic wand selection, it's going to select too much of your artwork. And if you want to correct that, all you need to do is hold the magic selection tool and click the Alt or Option button on your keyboard. And that's going to give you that negative sign or symbol, and that's going to bring your selection right back. So holding Shift to add selections, holding the Option key to delete selections or bring them back. So the last piece that I'm going to be cutting out and digitizing is the brush lettering. So as you can see, I did two different variations of Spread Love. So what I'm going to do is actually cut each of these out separately. So I will just do a rough lasso selection around Spread. I'll do a Command C to copy, and then a Command V to paste. So I have Spread on its own layer. That way I can adjust and move things around. I'm not sure if I like this little loop-de-loo here, so we'll see how this goes. With the magic wand, I'm going to select that watercolor paper, and it did a very good job of selecting. We can turn the tolerance up to, let's say, 30. So let's do Shift, click again, and voila, it grabbed the little inside of the S. Shift click, oops. So it's not liking to grab that selection. Let's try it again. Let's try it at 50 tolerance. Command click, still not working. So now what I'll do is switch from the magic wand into the quick selection tool. I just need to make my brush a little bit smaller by clicking the left bracket key. And now I'll hold Shift and click right in there, and it's going to grab just that inside of the E. I'm going to do that for the inside of these other letters. You kind of have to paint that selection on in the area that you want. I'm not so certain it's going to grab. Oh, looks like it did a pretty good job there. So here we are. I will do a select inverse, just like we did with our flowers, and click the layer mask tool, making sure that the black is always on the forefront and white on the background. Okay, so here we are with the lettering, and it looks okay. Obviously, it's got some really rough edges. So with the brush selected, the brush tool here on black, On my layer mask tool, I am going to simply paint away and get those edges of my lettering nice and smooth. You'll also see there's a little bit of an outline here from the selection. You can go ahead and just paint away that too as you're working your way around. I will leave my little loop-de-loo here. I'm not really sure if I want that there or not, so I'll just keep it for now. I can always get rid of it with the layer mask tool here. Again, I'm just going through and cleaning up this scan. Lettering is always one of those things that gets a little more attention than any other type of illustration, just because you do want it a little bit smoother, not quite so rough and jagged. So now I'm going to do that same thing for the other lettering pieces. So I'll just select Love on its own and clean it up. And I'm just going to start with these pieces. If I don't like the whimsical brush lettering that I have with the cursive here, I will go and try this one out. But I'm pretty certain that I'll enjoy the cursive, so we'll just do it like this. I have all of my pieces that have been cut out over here and cleaned up. And I am now ready to start designing this sticker. So first what I'll do is let's just turn off all of those graphics. They are on individual layers, so I'm able to move them around. But first what I want to do is create a layer down towards the very bottom here. And let's use the brush tool. Doesn't really matter the thickness, I'm using a 20 size brush. And let's just draw if you can. Otherwise, go ahead and find a heart online. I just simply need a heart template to fill my space and create the sticker. So here I have my illustrated outline. I will go ahead and click the lock button up here. That's going to lock this layer so I don't accidentally move it. And now let's start to play with our pieces. So they are obviously a lot larger than I need them to be, and I'm actually going to recommend that we place our wording in the middle first and work our florals around that. So here I am with my wording, and let's just try this. Let's just place it like we have it here in the middle, and now I'm going to play with these graphics to start creating with the move tool. Now I have them all on their own background, and they do not have any watercolor background on them. I'm going to begin to designing this sticker. Sometimes it's helpful to pull all of your pieces out so you can see them. Here I have all of my greenery pieces and then my little yellow flower. Obviously these are way too big. I'm going to have to make them a little bit smaller. And I'll just go ahead and select a few. If I do Command T to transform, and that will make them much smaller to work with. So let's try that size. We can continue to make them smaller or rotate them as we put together this design. Okay, I have all of my floral elements displayed around here, so this is the fun part. We get to start designing. So grabbing our floral pieces, I'll just start to place them in areas around the wording. I definitely want the wording to be the bigger highlight of this piece. And I'll have a few focal flowers, so here's a bigger one, another big one. I love this rose that I painted. I'll put that up here. And we get to just now play. So here I am with my finished sticker design, and I think it turned out so cute and took some time, but that's the fun part about it, is that you get to just play around. So now what I'm going to do is come on down, make sure my heart shape is turned off, that layer, as well as the background white layer. And I'm going to go on up to File, Export, Export As, and then what I want to do is export this as a PNG file without that white background. This would allow me to actually be able to print this with a clear sticker background if I wanted, but I'm actually going to do it as a white background. But either way, this is the file. And then I'm going to come on down to my stickers folder and I am going to export it and click save. Mine's already been saved once, so I'm just going to replace it. So now we have exported our sticker file and it is time to go over to Sticker Mule and place our sticker order. So now it's time to order our die cut stickers. So the first thing I'm going to do is come on over to stickermule.com. If you need to set up an account, I already have mine set up right here. And I'm going to go to Custom Stickers, Die Cut Stickers. And the sticker size that I want to create, which is really the most common sticker, die cut sticker for water bottles, is a 3" by 3" sticker. So I will click 3" by 3" and the quantity I want to do it at. This is where I'll go to choose my file. I need to navigate to where that sticker PNG file is. So here it is, Spread Love with all of our flowers. And click Open. And this is where you can include any instructions. I usually do not. They really know what to do, and they will actually provide you a proof of your design before they go to order them. So here I am, Spread Love, and all I need to do is now go to checkout, and soon enough they will come back with an email provided to me to check over a proof. And I will soon have a sticker die cut that I can sell both on my Etsy, at markets, or place on my own planners and water bottles. Creating stickers with Sticker Mule really is that easy. Be sure to check in the description below. I've included a referral link that will give you a $10 credit on your sticker order. And I really hope that you enjoyed this DIY tutorial and will give this sticker tutorial a try for yourself. And I'll see you next week.